Hey friends, Skyroby here, and I wanted to ask you a gamer question. When you play a game that you fell in love with, a game that you consider a masterpiece and maybe even the game of the year for you, or even a game that you consider your top 10, what do you do next? How do you go on from a game that you just played, that you fell in love with, that you adored? What do you do next? Do you maybe play an MMO? Do you maybe play a first person shooter to kind of cleanse your palate and prepare yourself for the next journey? Or are you the type of person that just jumps right into another story in another game? So a little bit about this. It's my story right now. I just beat Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think that hands down this game is probably the best game of 2020 in my opinion. And then I started thinking, I get this feeling a lot. I got the feeling earlier this year when I beat Persona 5 Royal. I got the feeling when I beat Last of Us for the first time, Red Dead Redemption, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI. I got this feeling of, oh man, that was such a great game. Where do I go from here? How do I go up from this story that I just played? Is it possible to go up from this amazing story that you had such a good time with? So what I did was I beat this game, I shelved it, I put it, put it away, loved it. I'm not the type of person that plays a game right after I beat it. I'll wait for the DLC or wait for several months before I go back to it. I've had a PlayStation 5 since day one, so I was like, okay, it's time for me to move on. So I popped in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, played for 3 hours, and felt this emptiness. No problem. Maybe I was tired, so I went to bed, woke up the next day. Put in the game I got last week, Cyberpunk 2077, because despite all of the attention it's getting, I wanted to check it out for myself personally and make my own informed decision. Played for 4 to 5 hours and still had that feeling of emptiness caused by this. So that's my question for you. What do you do when you play a game that you consider a masterpiece, something you adore? What do you do next? Where do you go from that step? Do you, like I said, do you maybe play an MMO? Do you play, a shorter game? Do you play a puzzle game? Do you maybe pop in Tetris? Do you maybe pop in a game that you know inside and out, like a Super Mario Brothers 3 or something like that? What do you do to prepare yourself, or how do you move on to another game? How do you kind of get past, oh man, I've just played that big experience? Or do you get past that big experience? Like I said, for me, Persona 5 Royal, it took me a month to find something that I could really get into because all I was singing was Last Surprise. All I wanted to do was hang out with Joker and Ryuji. All I wanted to do was be in that world because it was such an amazing game. It's one of my favorites, one of my top favorites. What do you do to move on to a next game? How do you pick the next game? I'd love to know your thoughts about this idea, and I've spoken with other gamers about this, and I'm not the only one that has these thoughts and these feelings. Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what your thoughts are on that, and how do you go next? What do you do? Friends, have a good time. Enjoy playing your video games, and I'll talk to you soon.